Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Elevate interview. I'm here with my man Vinny, and today we're just going to be diving into his experience joining Elevate, what made him join, what it's been like thus far, and then we're going to talk about shredding the slopes out in Utah. Vinny was joined us for a Utah snowboarding event out in Salt Lake at the beginning of 2024. So I'm excited to dive into what that experience was like. I know what it was like for me. A lot of falling on my head, a lot of injury eating snow, but he's way better at snowboarding than me. So I'm curious to see someone who actually got to enjoy those slopes, unlike me. But Vinny, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Doing well. Excited to be here.
Man, Vinny is big in the stonks game, we can call it. Big into trading, things like that. So I love his content, honestly. Like, you've been putting out a lot more content recently, and I've been enjoying it, dude. So definitely keep that rolling. I love the Chipotle content. Got me wanting to invest more than I already do, just buying a bowl every so often. Got me wanting to go all in, seeing that it's going to the moon, I feel like.
There you go. Yeah, it's great company. Just put an equal amount as you put into those bowls into ownership.
Yeah, there we go. Right. It's just so funny, like, how, like, not to go off on a tangent, but it's so funny how, like even seeing your content, I was like, oh, I gotta invest in Chipotle. Like, it's just funny how, like, our inputs influence even what we're investing in. Like, I don't know if you've experienced that at all since you're in the game educating yourself, but is there anybody you follow that's like got you, I don't know, orange pilled on Bitcoin or something?
um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys. Like, I basically taught myself everything I know from combination of like watching other YouTubers and reading books. I mean, this information is definitely the most accessible it's ever been. There's a lot of great guys, man. I know like Joseph Carlson, he's got good stuff. I know he likes Chipotle as well. He's one of like the OGs. But yeah, and then I'm sure I don't know if you've seen like GameStop is taking off right now. That whole thing's starting up again. So Roaring Kitty's back. I've been watching that develop.
That's crazy, man. Well, if you guys want to get educated around the stonks, go hit Vinny's YouTube channel. What's your channel?
Yeah, so it's youtube.com/investment club. That'll take you right to it, or you can just type in like investment club. It should come up.
Cool. Investment club if you're trying to get educated. But let's dive into Elevate, dude. So how long have you been a member? I can't even remember at this point.
Yeah, so I think just over a year, just about. Maybe it was like last March, I think I joined.
Okay. And what I guess just out of the gate, what made you really take that leap to want to join this team?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it was actually on a retreat with another group we're involved in. I got to meet Matt there, and was just super impressed, and have been having a great experience with that group, Default Kings, and with Matt, I could just see like more of the same, just another great input and more of these great types of calls and stuff. I could put on my calendar and can never have too much, of just positive, great inputs, like we were kind of talking about a little before. But yeah, I was just super impressed by Matt and wanted to see what it was all about.
Yeah. So what was I guess before you joined and even before DK, like if anybody's wondering about DK, like if you're looking to lose weight, there's no better place to go than to Default Kings. But before you kind of found these communities, like what I guess was lacking within your community?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I had probably like when I got involved with these types of communities, I was just kind of like beginning my transition, going from like a more traditional job where I was actually a New York City public school teacher. So I did that for a few years, and then I started like going down this entrepreneurship path, and I didn't have anyone in my life who was like had ever done that, right? Like
Mm,
all my friends are just traditional jobs, traditional career path. My family, just a lot of like teachers, stuff like that, a little bit of like military background. But nobody had ever like started a business or anything. So that was all new to me. And I was definitely looking for like more, I think. I just wasn't like I always wanted more. I don't know. I just never was interested in what everybody else around me was doing with like, going out and watching sports ball. Like, like it was like fun for a little bit in college, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do the rest of my life. So I don't know. I guess the universe just kind of naturally, I gravitated toward these types of groups. God gave me what I was looking for sure.
Yeah. I know a big like hill that you climbed. I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago. Was ripping that Ironman. Uh, and I think just aligning your actions with the type of people you want to surround yourself with is ultimately what would have attracted you to community, a community that's in alignment with who you want it to be. So I guess talk to us about that. Like, when did the thought of ripping that Ironman come about, and when really did you like start taking action to build yourself overall?
Yeah. Yeah. So probably about a year before I did tackle the Ironman was when I really got started on like this personal development journey. Like I after the pandemic, I was like probably up to like 245 pounds, dropped all the way down to like 190. So like that was kind of the beginning, and kind of in doing that, I realized a lot, and probably the biggest benefits I got, out of these programs, out of just connecting with all the like-minded men was really, I think, more important than the physical was like this mindset shift, right? Like the
Mm,
mental side of things was almost where I had struggled more, right? Just in, whether it came to like believing in myself that I could do all this stuff, right? Because like I didn't have any sort of model to follow. So I'm just out here, you start to fall into a little bit of like the comparison trap, right? Because I see all these, everyone on Twitter, YouTube is only showing, the best, and they're ultra successful. So
yeah,
like it was daunting at times for sure. I was like, oh God, like am I out of my element here? Um, so it was a lot of like mental modeling, a lot of like reshaping that side of things. That's where I've gotten like tremendous benefit out of these programs. And again, just from like changing habits, simple little things. Like I was always like, athletic and, moderately active, but I never like stuck with like an actual routine, right? I'd lift a little, probably stop for a few weeks, on and off, on and off. Same with the diet, and kind of just like getting all that locked in immediately. It's like a 10-20% boost, at least, just in how you feel every day when you're actually, exercising every day. Like now I'm at the point, if I don't do some sort of exercise, like I feel terrible. Like I have to do something every day. It's become a habit, So that's where I started. Got all that worked out, and then it was like, all right, well, what's next? And I had never even run like an official 5K in my life, and just went straight for the Ironman. So that was a little nuts. Did it with my best friend, and we had no idea what we were getting into for sure. We just like casually were like, yeah, let's rip an Ironman. And then to make it even better, we picked Matt's home state there of Colorado, because doing it at a normal elevation wasn't a big enough challenge. So we just went to like 7,000 feet. But yeah, training for that was kind of like another layer added on top. Just in like, I think it showed me like a lot of like, okay, like you can really do anything you put your mind to, right? Because like 2 years ago, I would have been like, I that's something I would never do in my entire life, like I'm not a triathlete. So yeah, it definitely, I think, just kind of like took me to another level of like, okay, wow, like you can really do anything you put your mind to. Like you just and I trained a lot. Like training for that thing was like a part-time job, but I'm really glad I did it. Definitely will do another one eventually. And yeah, it was a amazing experience. I highly recommend people like do something crazy like that. Do a triathlon.
yeah, that's huge, bro. Part-time job, man. I can't imagine because that the endurance training just takes so long. Like I was prepping for a marathon not too long ago, and I live at 7,000 feet elevation. Um, so just getting out there, but and having to run for like 2 hours, man. I was like, this is 2 3 hour runs. I was like, I'm about done with this. I couldn't imagine adding, biking and swimming on top of that. So major kudos to you, bro, for training for that, for executing on that, doing it at 7,000 feet elevation. Can't imagine how tough it was, but I guess just transitioning from that Ironman and building yourself, getting down in weight, like where did the need for just surrounding yourself with people who were on the same page come in? Like, was there a moment that you remember it's just like I need to be surrounded by other people who are doing these things? Was it just a gradual progression of consuming, content online and being like, I gotta join some of these groups, I gotta surround myself with these guys, or I guess
Mhm.
how did that progression go for you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think it was, yeah, kind of like a natural progression. A lot of it was like something I think deep down I always craved, but like, didn't really, couldn't like define it. Like I didn't know what I was looking for. But, I think back to like a couple of my closest friends today that I've known for like 10 years, plus just from like high school, college. I was always drawn to like certain type of person who like I wanted more out of life, right? People who are doing like amazing stuff, not settling. So I think deep down, like that desire was always there. And then, yeah, it just was a natural progression. I think that like, moving into more of like an entrepreneurial, business
Mm,
path, that just tends to be where a lot of the go-getters are at. I've found, these are the people that just want more out of life. They don't want to settle. So yeah, I think it was pretty much, yeah, just like a natural progression over time. And as I kind of just started aligning like what I wanted to do with my values.
yeah. Entrepreneurship, like you're saying, man, not for the faint of heart. And it can, like, I don't know if you can relate, I'm sure you can, but it's super lonely, man. Like, especially in the early days when you haven't built a network and connected, kind of like we have now. Like, I know for me starting out, it was like my friends that I had, they were all over here doing this. For me, it was they were in college, partying, kind of in that season of life, like you talked about, and I felt like I was missing out on that fun that I could have been having. But I had this vision of like I want to start a business, I want to be my own boss. Like I need to set myself up for life. Um, so I don't know if you can speak to that season of kind of feeling lonely in the early stages.
Yeah, no, 100%. It is hard in the beginning, like especially again, kind of like you said, like you're going at it alone before you have this network of people that you can like lean on and relate to, and they like inspire you. Yeah, man. Like I'm probably, so the last year I taught as a official public school teacher was 2021. It was tough for like the first 2 years. What are we now in 2024? So like I'd say it's like the last year is when I really finally started to kind of like figure it out and get to like a really good place. But yeah, man, those first 2 years were like a struggle. Like there was a lot of doubt. There was like a lot of thinking of like, oh my God, like what have I done? I left this, stable career. But then it's like one day, like if you just keep at it long enough, it just the switch flips and there's no going back for me now. Like I'm with you. Like I always wanted to be my own boss. I think I always just like craved freedom. And it's funny, like when I set out on this journey, initially, like, as a naive kid, coming out of college, my whole goal of like getting into investing was like, I don't want to work. Like this sucks. Like I don't want to work. I want to like just fast forward to retirement. And it's hilarious because that quickly morphed into like, no, like that would be so boring. What I want to just do what I'm actually passionate about. And now it's like
Mm,
I love working, right? Like Monday comes around, it's like bet lit. Like let's get to it, And that's the dream right there. Like that's the American dream is like if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right? So that's kind of been like my transition there. It's just like kind of realizing once I, found something I was passionate about. And yeah, again, back to the loneliness, it was tough. And again, like no one in my family had ever really started a business, So there was a lot of like pushback I had to deal with just from like my dad who was a teacher, and he was just like what are you doing? Like you got to go back to teaching, da 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 da. And like they didn't mean harm, like they want what's best for you, but like they just don't understand, right? Because if you have never done something, like they were like, what are you doing? Like no one understood what I was doing. And now like they're all like, oh wow, this is so amazing. Like now I talk to like family and stuff who's like hates their job, and they're like, it's so amazing that you've like found an alternative, right? Where you don't have to, deal with like this 9 to 5 that's like soul sucking. You found something you love. And I would love to like inspire other people to like do that too as well long term. Cause like there's nothing special about me. Like anyone could do this. Just like find something you're passionate about and like a few little tricks and you're on your way.
Yeah. I mean, God gave us the gifts, like he absolutely did. But I love what you're saying because I can relate so much to not having support from those closest to me, my parents, my friends. Like, what are you doing? Why are you not going to college? Like, what, starting a business, like what, like making no money and trying to tell people you're an entrepreneur is one of the hardest things in the world. And it's really tough when you have no support of the people who have supported you your entire life and are supposed to continue to support you. It makes it really hard. And like we had talked about, you're not immersed into a culture or a network of like-minded men who are doing the same things. And the masses, like they get to you, like it gets to your mind, like it gets to your mindset and your mentality. And it's really hard to go against the grain in anything. Like what's the status quo right now? Like average 9 to 5, 50 pounds overweight, rising, increasing 50+% divorce rate. Like that's just what the masses are doing. And it's really hard to go against those if you're not surrounded by people who are trying to go against it as well, because you just, no one wants to feel like an outlier. Like from birth, we were just like trying to fit in, and it's tough to just feel like that outlier and go against the grain. So I guess I'm just doubling down on everything you said right now because I can relate so much. And there's kind of 2 of 3 boxes I think we've really checked pretty quick into this. The loneliness of entrepreneurship, and then you just added on the loneliness of training and health, like being overweight. You were like, I'm done with this. Now my friends are kind of all partying in that drinking phase, which because nothing against them, they're not bad guys, great people, I'm sure. It's just like you were just wanting to build your body and do something a bit different. It happens. So the loneliness of entrepreneurship, loneliness of health, and then I think the third kind of category that I'm going to add in is faith. Like there's a loneliness about that as well when you're trying to do things that go against culture there of quitting porn and I don't know, for me, like abstaining from sex until marriage. I felt like I was the only person in the world trying to do that at one point. Um, and with Elevate, I've tried to craft a community that really brings the pinnacle of all three of those together of, being an entrepreneur, pushing in your health, building deep relationships, and growing your faith. So obviously we're trying to, live life at the highest level, as my sign back here says, just bringing everything together. So let's talk about that third column for you, like faith. Like what has your journey been like growing in that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I mean, like I, grew up raised Catholic and like kind of got away from it. And it actually was probably just about a little over a year ago when we were down on a retreat down in Orlando, Florida, and got to go to Matt's church down there, which what was it, Action, right?
Yep.
Place was awesome, right? Like I had never been to church like that. I'd only gone to Catholic mass, sit stand kneel, sit stand kneel. But just seeing that, and I remember that the the message that day even was just like exactly what I needed to hear. I was like, this is too perfect. Like this is, God working right now. I remember the message was about like fulfillment, and like I literally like the week prior I was like talking to friends about how yeah, like I'm starting to like figure this out, but I'm just not really like feeling the fulfillment from it. And that sure enough, like that whole sermon was about finding fulfillment and like what you have to do there and kind of like turning to faith. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. Like this is like too perfect. And then from there, came back home, back up to Delaware, and I'm telling my girlfriend about it. I was like, oh man, like I was like ready to move down to Florida just to like go to this church. I was like, this place is amazing. Like I wish we had something up here. I was like, there's no way they have this up in the Northeast. Sure enough, we find a little quick Google. I think my girlfriend literally Googled like fun church or something. And we found one that's like very similar. It's called United. Same kind of vibe, just like great message, great programs, all kinds of groups. So we started going there probably about last August. So just almost coming up on a year here. And that's the other thing. We had just moved to Delaware. We didn't know anybody. Like we were totally lacking the community, right? Like to go back to that. So we got involved in the church, and I can honestly tell you that through this church, it has like changed my life. Just in, it's like just going there is great.
Mm-hmm.
Like great message every week, always refills my cup. But they've got all these groups that they offer, and I was able to meet all these people, and like literally, like it helped my business so much because I got involved in like an entrepreneurship group through the church. Through that, met all these like local business people, ended up joining like another networking group through it. Like literally this church like started like basically like that was the beginning, right? Which is crazy. Like so now basically everyone I know in Delaware is like thanks to the church. I all the people I've met, I know all like business people now. There's even like I met one guy through it who's like a retired financial advisor. I was like, this is perfect. Like he basically took me under his wing, like saw a lot of potential in me, and like so we talk all the time now. It's just been really incredible to see like what a difference that makes, and kind of tying it all together, like the faith, the community. Like I've really gotten all of what you need from it.
Man, nothing beats in person community, especially if the local church is able to provide it. Uh, Unbelievable, dude. Like so great to hear, and it's so funny, like Action Church. That church is incredible. I miss that church. Like, man, I wish I could go back, but I've got a great church out here in Colorado now. Don't get me wrong, but there was definitely something special about that spot. But yeah, I mean, I think a big point to make here for anyone listening is like if you're not getting your cup filled by your church, like go to a new one. Like, we talk about this on Raw Faith, Peyton and I's podcast, and it's like it's nothing against the church you're going to. It's probably serving someone else and not you. Like you got specific spiritual needs that you want to grow your relationship with God. You want to network with like minded people. Like find a new church, join an online community, like start networking with people who are doing these same things. Don't just sit there complacent and stuck and complaining. Vinny started taking action on every area of life, from entrepreneurship to health to faith. And I know from personal experience that gives you the confidence to start connecting with new people. Like, if you hadn't taken the actions that you had taken, I'm sure you don't step into that church and start networking like you have, or like you have if you hadn't taken those previous actions to grow in each area of life. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. No, it was really like pivotal to the whole thing. Like I can trace like when everything started to really like work out and improve. Like it started like back last August when we first started going.
Action is everything, man. Some would say all the time. So, amen to that, dude. But I think just getting across the pinnacle of entrepreneurship, health, and faith, like that is what we embody here. Obviously, you being a vital member of the community, embodying those things yourself. So, just want to get that across to anyone who's listening. But let's pivot, bro. Let's talk about some snowboarding, man, because that event was a blast. I had snowboarded, I don't know, one or two times before in my life going there to Salt Lake, and it showed. But like, you grew up snowboarding?
Yeah, I've been snowboarding probably 20 years, probably since I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Man, so just walk us through like before the event, like what was the thought process around just coming to this thing?
Yeah. So I'd gone on a couple retreats before, and this just sounded like an awesome one, and I really wasn't expecting anything beyond like let's go snowboard. Had never got to shred out west. I've always been on like the East Coast, New York, Vermont was usually where I went. But I also like I haven't really gone the last few years. We used to go every year, and then like pandemic kind of just ruined it for a season or two, and just kind of never got back to it. So I was like excited to kind of get back out there. But so first time out west to snowboard, And that trip was awesome, man. Like got to shred some pow, but again, going back to like the networking thing, another like vital part in my journey was just like getting there, getting around all these other, young, motivated, great men, entrepreneurs, and just like really inspiring, just like seeing, what other guys are doing. It's like stuff you don't even know is possible, right? Like they're not, if you don't get around like these kind of people, like you don't even know what you can do. So it was very eye opening, just kind of like see, wow, like you're doing all this stuff. And then got to talk with one of the other guys on the trip who we were talking about investing. He kind of had like a background as worked in a hedge fund. Now he's got his own business, and I was kind of telling him a lot of my ideas of like, I've been wanting to start like obviously I had like the YouTube channel and like this investing newsletter I've been doing a couple of years, but I always wanted to like start like a community around it too, right? Just about investing. And it was kind of like through talking to him that kind of gave me like the push I needed to like finally pull the trigger, go through with it. And yeah, so from there, got that going, and that's been really awesome, and like just something I find super fulfilling, just to like teach people about investing. And like last week I was at a Christian owned gym, giving a personal finance and investing talk, and everyone like they got so much out of it. Like it was really fulfilling. But yeah, man, Utah was awesome. I like that trip. I highly recommend doing Elevate trips. They're incredible. You get to, it's like the best of everything, right? You get like a nice vacation. You get to do awesome stuff. These guys are like riding ATVs and stuff in Sedona. But you also get that network. You also get the faith, and like just a really, just really was a weekend that like refilled my cup, and I came back like ready to go, So definitely it was my first Elevate trip. Won't be my last.
Man, appreciate that, brother. But I want to highlight the dichotomy of something we talked about in this interview. Like, earlier we were talking about starting out in entrepreneurship and not having that support. Like, and when you first start, it's tough, right? We've highlighted that enough. But then you look at now being a part of Elevate, coming to Utah, and you have this idea to start this community and expand your business, and you get empowered with it instead of having to overcome hurdles and obstacles, before you have a community that's looking to support. And I just think there's so much to be said there, because imagine how far you can go, in life. You have people at every turn supporting you and pushing you and encouraging you and helping you, like rather than resisting you because they don't understand the path. And it's not that they want anything bad for you; they just want you to be safe, right? So they're like, I don't really know. That looks like an unsafe route. Whereas you're connecting with entrepreneurs who are like, yeah, I've been down that route. Like that's a very safe route. Like full send it, like
Mm-hmm.
go for it. There's just so much to be said for that. I know with Elevate growing and expanding, like I've been able to receive the most amount of support. I always say I started this thing because I needed it the most. God knew that I was going to need it the most, but it's just incredible to see, dude, you being empowered to start your own community, coming to something like our Utah snowboarding event. But walk us through just like your day to day experience, showing up, getting there, and then day one we just kind of hung out. I know you and I got in the hot tub ASAP, spent as many hours in there as we could, good combos in there, talking about business opportunities and faith and our relationships and stuff. Yeah, just what was kind of the day to day like for you?
Yeah. So I guess my trip started about a week before when I got a little confused with the dates, and I almost got on the plane a week early. um, but thank God, Peyton on the ops immediately reached out to me. He was like, "Dude, this is not till next week." So that was when my trip started. But dude, that whole thing was crazy. I had the right flight picked, and at the last minute, I don't know why in my head I thought it was like the weekend before. Switched it all, total mess. But it was resolved. It was fine. Thank God for Peyton. I literally would have been out there finding an Airbnb for a week before. But yeah, man, it was sick. Got picked up at the airport by Peyton. That was my first time meeting him. He's awesome, and the house was awesome. Just a great place to just kind of chill and network and kind of get deeper into our faith. Foosball was fun. If anybody wants to smoke, me and Grant were like Messi and Pele out there. We were cooking. That was so much fun, dude. I honestly like might have to buy a foosball table just for playing there. That was a blast. Little foosball tourney action. Um, but yeah, we got to do a lot of cool stuff. Like Matt said, hot tub talks are always good. There's just something about sitting there in a hot tub with a view of these beautiful Utah mountains. Again, I had never been out there. Like, we don't have that kind of stuff on the East Coast. So you're sitting there in a hot tub, some guys, smoking some cigars and just looking at that and talking business, life, faith. I mean, you can't like put a value on that. That like is just a great experience all around.
Yeah, dude. Talk about the protein intake on that trip, man. It was so funny because Andre, he was coming on the trip and he had just went through the DK program and they were big on like, Andre, you need to start eating protein, dude. And so he texted me and he's like, hey man, he's like, really want to hit my protein goals, on this trip. Like, is there gonna be enough protein or do I need to like do something myself to like make sure I can eat enough protein in the day? And I was like, dude, do you know who you're coming like on a trip with? Like, it's like, how much protein do you think I eat in a day? I was like, a lot. Yeah, so talk to us about the food, bro, because everybody loves the food, I feel like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely plenty of protein. We must have went through what, hundreds of eggs, probably 100 pounds of ground beef. There was no protein shortage, no problem there. Rest assured. But yeah, even just cooking, like there's just something special about being in a house with a bunch of guys and like, yeah, you're shooting the crap, you're cooking all these like phenomenal meals. You guys got me on a big honey kick now. That's my go-to fuel source. These guys are putting honey on everything, on toast, on eggs, on like I don't even remember what else we ate, like on a ground beef and stuff. But yeah, that's my go-to now. Some honey with some sourdough bread right before the gym. Perfect. But yeah, plenty of protein.
Fueling up for sure. Yeah. I mean, a big aspect for me of these events is, we've talked about entrepreneurship, we talked about health, we talked about faith, and it's like I want our events to kind of embody all of that. Obviously, entrepreneurship just comes naturally when you're networking with other entrepreneurs. But the health aspect comes in is, we're still getting workouts in, we're going for runs. Obviously, we're hitting the slopes all day, which is a workout in itself. But I think even, a group of us were on 75 hard during, that event. So we're making sure we're hitting our water, we're getting our 2 workouts in, no cheat meals. Like, we're doing all these things to embody the health aspect of Elevate because we don't just want it to be, like your typical standard American vacation where you go travel somewhere, eat like shit, drink a bunch of alcohol and just trash your body for a week. Like, that's not going to leave you feeling good. That's not going to grow you. Like I'm all for enjoying yourself and balance and moderation and all that stuff, but I think people need to kind of recalibrate, their trips and like when they go on vacations and stuff, see what you can do. Like, you get, a week off of work or away from responsibility where you can take time to spend that extra time in the gym doing the things you need to do, or spend that extra time hitting mobility or cooking the extra healthy meal, like whatever it is. Like, everyone's always begging for space and time in their life, and then they get it and they just use it as a way to distract and like destroy themselves, which is just crazy. So we try to do the opposite of that and really embody the health journey by cooking meals. And I think like you're saying, there's something to be said for everybody kind of throwing in, doing their part and cooking. And, we still ate out a handful of times, but I really enjoy the home cooked meals, man. There's something about breaking bread together that's been prepared by the homies that just kind of hits different, makes the conversations a little deeper. But let's talk about the faith aspect of this trip because, I'll be transparent. That's the first time we've ever done like worship at an event. I absolutely loved it, but literally, like, I don't know if it was days before or even during, I was like, man, we got to get a worship session in here together. So, what was that like for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, again, it's like you said, there's 2 types of trips you can do, and again, it's like there's a time and place for everything, but one leaves you feeling worse, the traditional American one and more tired when you get back. and the other one refills your cup. And this one 100%, refilled my cup just from a combination of all of it, the worship and all the other, positive inputs. Yeah, I mean, it was just very fulfilling. It was very uplifting. And like, the exercises we did with like the journaling and the prompts and stuff was super helpful. And yeah, it's just amazing. Like you can do all this stuff that's like productive, but like you have a blast. Like it was such a fun weekend, all of it. Yeah, so the faith stuff was great. I think that was awesome. Should be a staple on every Elevate trip moving forward.
Oh, for sure, dude. No doubt. And I think I was going with the selfish goal of trying to get everybody to pray, over a meal or whatever it is. And I think for the most part, got through everybody in Utah of trying to get, individuals to pray over the group, man. I don't know about for you, but I remember the first time I was asked to pray over a group of people at a brunch, and I kind of was shaking in my boots. I think a little bit of pee might have ran down my leg. I was very, I was very nervous. So I know that it's a very big thing to pray over other people, and I think it's one of the most powerful things you could do for your relationships. Praying over Sarah, your girl, or whoever you're praying over, any type of relationship. I think it's such a powerful thing you can do to grow your relationships and really lead as a man, especially, of course, the spiritual walk. Um, I don't know. You have anything to say towards that or any experience on that just in your personal life praying over others?
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Like in a group, it's very intimidating. I've only like been asked to do it like once, I think, or twice, and yeah, it's definitely intimidating at first because like I just get up there, I'm like word vomiting. Like some of these guys give such a great, do a great job with it, but like everything comes with experience and practice. I'm sure you've experienced that. But yeah, I think there's just something about it, like to pray over a meal before you eat it, because we lose sight of all these simple things. We've gotten very, what's the word I want to say? Life has gotten very cushy and easy in a lot of ways, in that we're not hunting for food. You don't have to worry about going hungry because you just get it all from the grocery store, and we take it for granted. So when you're just like mindlessly eating it, I think there's a big difference. Like when you could just step back and just take that 30 seconds before to pray over it and realize like, wow, thank God like for this food. Thank God for like being able to nourish my soul here with, healthy food. And just realizing like, taking a breath and just looking at all the blessings in your life, right? Like people get too caught up, and I'm guilty of it too, of just like, oh, if I just had this, then everything would be good, or
Mm,
always wanting more. And like, we never, we don't stop enough to just sit back and be thankful for everything we do have.
yeah, amen to that. And I think, that's a big piece of why we are constantly expressing gratitude and elevate having that gratitude channel. Like you're saying, I try to challenge myself and other guys too. Express new pieces of gratitude. Like there's always new things to be grateful for. And yeah, one of those little things is like you're saying, being able to just drive to the grocery store. Like I got a grocery store 3 minutes away, man. I can drive to the store and pick up the healthiest food, all the protein I need to come build my body. Like what a overlooked blessing that is, that there's just food in abundance around us that's not very expensive, especially healthy food.
Mm-hmm.
So glad you're bringing that point to the table. But I guess just overall experience of the snowboarding trip, like what were some big takeaways for you, like just overall recap of the experience?
Yeah. Um, well, I mean, I definitely came back super fulfilled in all these like areas, just in my faith and my business, and just like being motivated to be healthier. Just being around like all these like-minded men again. It's like everybody knows, everybody says, you're the 5 people you surround yourself with. But then we go when we hang around it in a lot of scenarios, like 5 people that are not what you want to be. And going back to what you said earlier of like, it's hard enough to build a business. It's near impossible if you have to fight tooth and nail every step to like convince the people around you. Like I've been there. It's like we have limited energy. It takes all your energy to build the business. Like, you can't spend 50% of your energy convincing people around you like why you should be, doing it. It's tough. And that was a big part of my problem for like the first couple of years. And I think why it really took me longer to like really get it going. But yeah, just a super fulfilling weekend all around. I mean, we did that journaling exercise, like just kind of getting clear on what these different areas of life and like where you're at and what you need to do to kind of get to where you want to be. It really is like so important to just kind of quarterly or however often you want to do it. Should just do an Elevate trip. It's easy that way. They do it for you, but just kind of take a step back and just assess like where are you at in the year, like what were your goals going in, like what's changed. Like a lot is obviously changes. A lot has changed for me this year when I just look back at my goals in the beginning, but just like assessing like how am I doing in the health sphere, and how am I doing with my faith and my giving and all these different areas of life, and just kind of like being cognizant so that you're actually taking action toward what you want to accomplish.
Yeah, amen to all that, dude. I think just the awareness of where you're at is so big to get to where you're trying to go. And it takes the reflection to do that. I feel like you can almost, if you do it enough, you can almost get into like this like simultaneous state where you're like aware as you're progressing. If you reflect enough and really build that skill set of awareness. But to round out this bottom half of this thing, I just want to kind of rapid fire some Elevate related questions your way. Just quick answers, nothing crazy. If you want to go a little bit longer, no worries. But if you had to, this is gonna be a great one. This might be my favorite question of these interviews. If you had to get lunch with, let's say, 3 other members, you can't choose me because I know you choose me, but if you had to get lunch with 3 Elevate members, who would you choose?
3 Elevate members. Let's see. I'm trying to think back who was on the trip there. Definitely Mr. Grant. We got a lot to talk about, a lot in common with the investing world background for sure. Who else? I'll leave out you, Peyton, and Austin. Those are obvious choices, but outside of that, I would say maybe Brawny, talk some fitness stuff, and I gotta give it to Cam. My guy is a comedian. He's hilarious, and talk about a guy who's like opening your eyes to like what's possible. Just all the incredible stuff he was doing while we were there. Yeah, I would pick those 3 guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Cam is all over the place, dude.
He's hilarious.
He's tearing it up, but legit, dude. So, favorite aspect of Elevate? Like, if you just had to pick one aspect of like this is kind of my favorite thing of it, what would you choose?
Community.
As a low hanging fruit there.
Just like yeah, I mean, because because it's like the calls, it's the events, just like that element, being able to like get around these like-minded men, I would say.
Yeah. Love it, dude. Favorite channel inside Elevate's Discord?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There's so many, man. I'll go with the Connect channel just because like I love connecting with, like-minded people, and something else I want to do, I think like longer term, again, just how I was saying, like I want to help people kind of realize what they're passionate about and help them out, and almost like where talking to me 5 years ago, like everything I wish I knew, I would love to like be that for other people. So, like recently I got to connect with like one of the guys who's I think he's 20. He was like, or around 20, like heading into college, and like just being able to like talk to people who are like going through, everything we all go through, and like just being the mentor role that I wish I had back then. So that's been really cool. Like I just love connecting with people, and like if there's any way I could help them out, give them some pointers from a old man who's been through it, I just find that super fulfilling.
Yeah. Were you able to set up your contact card on the Connection Hub?
No, what's that?
Yeah, well, we just rolled it out not too long ago. But basically, within the Connect channel, there's now, if you actually go look, message just got dropped today, but there's a Connection Hub. So basically, it's a link to just a list of people you can connect with. It's got like a picture, name, city where they're from or state, age, quick bio about them, and then their Twitter profile link and a call button.
Oh,
So you can
nice.
book a call on their calendar. There's probably like 20 guys on there if I
Yeah.
had to guess so far. But if you scroll down to the very bottom of that page, you can add your contact to it. And we'll put you on there so other guys can just book on your calendar as well. So
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check
doing
that
everything
out.
we can to make that seamless.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, last question I got. This is a softball kind of question for a clip here. I'll be honest for everybody listening, but what if someone is considering joining Elevate? Just like what's your advice to them?
Yeah. Um, if you want to level up in life, if you want to get around like-minded men, get healthier, get more fit, make more money, be inspired every day. Literally, if you want to do anything in life, like it can only help you. Like that would be what I would say. Like you will only get benefits out of this. So what are you waiting for?
Man, let's go. What are you waiting for? It's only $30 a month. Super cheap. And if you cancel in the first month, we send you your money back. So there's really like no risk, I guess, involved at all to joining. So yeah, bro, appreciate you jumping on, sharing your experience, taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. I know you're visiting some family right now as well. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, dude.
Yeah, man. Anytime for you. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Much love, bro.
Take it easy.